Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
This week we are kicking off Game Night Month by rolling a natural 20 to review the new film Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the movie that one Letterboxd reviewer called What Marvel Thinks It Is.
This movie has cast magical spells across all audiences, and we were no exception, even comparing it to Jumanji and Guardians of the Galaxy.
We may have even tucked ourselves into doing a So Many Sequels D&D campaign. So if you're a dungeon master and you got some creative ideas for us, just reach out. Let us know.
We've got all that and more for the first Game Night movie month, whatever, here on So Many Sequels. Find us online at SoManySequels.com. Follow us on our social channels. You can get links there. And of course, subscribe to the show in your podcasting app. Without any further ado, enjoy the show.
To accidentally leave something there so that I can then have a reason to come back again. You know,
There's always a reason to come back.
right?
Well, you don't need a reason either. You can just show up. I don't care.
I've done that
Knock on the
before.
door.
I've just shown up at places and it's always a surprise.
Well, that's how it used to be, you know, before phones and internet and all that. You just showed up to someone's house.
You know,
They were there.
I think for a while.
Now no one
guys-
wants to answer the door.
When
No,
you guys
remember when you were a kid and you had to go knock on your friend's door and it was
Yeah.
terrifying because their parent might answer?
might answer.
Hi,
You know,
is
you
Jimmy
weren't.
home?
you were
I wanna go
hoping
play
that-
with Jimmy.
You had to ask if they were home. You never actually really be sure unless you called ahead, which sometimes
Right.
you did. You call ahead and you go, "Hey, you gonna be over? I'm gonna come by," you know, and then you ride your bike down there.
Yeah. But that's a whole nother thing.
Always
You
work
call
well.
ahead and you got to talk to the parent on the phone. Oh,
See, now that's true. Now you guys may or may not. You guys have come to my house before, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been that
It's been a
many
while.
times. You
no,
may have
not
noticed.
very many, but
I think deep down I have a irrational fear of the door knocking because
same.
oftentimes I will, when I know if someone's coming over, and I did this as a kid too, I would rather be outside already and meet them than them knock on the door and me have to come open the door for them. And so sometimes as an adult, I will just, when I know they're coming and I know they have to be pretty close, it's like they texted me 20 minutes ago and I go Google Map how long it is from their place to mine. And I go and I watch the window and I'm like, okay, they're going to be here. And as soon as I see their car pull up, I wait and I like count like a certain amount of beats. And then I just open the door
well, you
ready, like,
greet them.
hey, look who's here. You know what I mean?
Wow, you'd rather get it. You'd rather open it before they get there than let
Yeah.
them knock.
No knocking, no
So
doorbell.
it's the knock that bothers you somehow.
I don't know if it's the knocking or the doorbell, but either way,
Well, sure.
it's like I can't help myself. I hate being surprised, I guess, even when I know it's coming.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So haven't watched anything else though recently?
No, I was even trying to think oh, let me go back the whole week, and I've not watched anything prudent to this podcast.
No, I haven't really either. I did watch. I kind of half watched Hall Pass the other night. If you remember that movie with Jason Sudeikis and Owen Wilson.
Sudeikis. I thought it was going to be Bateman.
It wasn't great. So I don't.
This is the
premise
premise of this is that the idea of having like a celebrity crush or somebody like that, and if you were ever even remotely in a chance to be with them, your wife or your significant other might give you a pass to be with that person, right?
Essentially, yes. I found it a little dumber than that. It's more like, they have this talk about that concept of the hall pass, but it's a lot more broad, where it's not just like one celebrity, and then it just kind of turns into they just want to sleep with someone else.
Yeah.
And long story short, their wives overhear it and somehow let them.
Interesting.
They give them Jenna Fisher is
not
one
like
of the wives,
Yeah.
and they agree to give them a 1 week hall pass. Now,
Was it done in kind of a way that was like, this isn't going to happen?
They're
They
never
can't.
gonna get laid.
Not gonna find anybody. So like, let them try and just make them feel bad. Like, because that would be at least kind of funny.
That may have been a little at play. That does come into play where like they also just can't seem to get anyone, even when they have permission. But they're just so bad at it that they fail, and along the way they discover that they do love their wives and they don't want to have a hall pass after all.
Of course. Well,
so everyone has a happy ending and no one gets cheated on.
They come to that realization.
I know you have
everybody
to go
talks about Sudeikis' Ted Lasso, but you go back and watch early Sudeikis anything, and he is a slime ball
in a lot of things. Yeah,
he can't go back to doing that.
Hey, I stand by this though. I put this on what is the name of that other app, Mastodon or something like that. I said I think Jason Sudeikis has a chance at an Academy Award in his future. Acting or otherwise. I think that he's got the ability and the desire to go for that kind of thing. Believe.
I believe and believe.
I believe and believe.
I can see that. Has everyone started watching the new season?
I have.
Good.
I have.
No.
Good.
Well, so far.
We're behind.
There, so no spoilers. But I've enjoyed it too. Yeah, I'm behind an episode, I think. But the premiere was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm caught up, but I'm enjoying myself so far. I'm come to terms with, what might be the last season of Ted Lasso. So just kind of, enjoying it for what it is.
This is not a Ted Lasso podcast, but while we're on the subject, I feel like they're being so careful with how they talk about this being the final season of Ted Lasso. Like, they'll call it the end of a story, but they won't necessarily say it's the last season. And they also won't say like that there will be more either. But I saw the other day, Bill Lawrence, one of the co-creators, was very quick to correct someone online that no one said it's all over. But that also, this was last season. It's very sneaky. So I believe there's something, maybe a spinoff of sorts.
Maybe a spinoff. I mean, it is very interesting because like they're all making a ton of money now off this thing.
What if Ted goes back home? What
if they shift the focus to different characters and Ted becomes a supporting character or something like that?
Do we see a new coach for AFC Richmond? And then it's not Ted Lasso anymore. I don't know. It's
I don't know. It becomes Nate Fisher.
Mysterious.
We'll see what happens.
Is that his last name? Fisher?
Is it?
Who?
Nate? I don't know.
Nate's last name. I think it might be Fisher. You might be right.
I don't remember. Man, though, that guy is so good at being hateable.
I tell you what, I make the same joke every time, which is whenever he's being like a dirtbag again, I'm like, you think we hate him now? Wait till he wins us over again. Because that's what Ted says about himself in relation to Roy, because Roy really hates him. And Roy thinks he hates us now. Wait till we win him over.
Yeah.
So I know that's what's going to happen is they're just going to win me back.
Probably.
I'm just anticipating it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, nothing much else going on this weekend except for watching our big movie of the week and getting ready to start. I don't know what we're calling it, but for lack of a better name, Game Night. April.
Yeah, maybe it's just Game Night month.
I think it is. I think it's just Game Night month.
The concept,
get the 20-sided die, boys.
I honestly looked at a lot of different
die. How many sides, Josh?
Well, there's that's a complicated question. The general is a D20, so yeah, 20-sided die. They can go up to like a D100, but that's basically a ball at that point.
Yeah.
But there is a D100.
I saw there's a guy on TikTok who his whole thing is he rolls a D100 and you put in your number and he'll roll it, and if you get the right number, he'll do something. I don't know what the gift is, but he'll do something.
Have you seen the roll for sandwich guy?
I think I've seen that too.
So this guy does a Dungeons and Dragons themed sandwich cooking show where he rolls the die for the ingredients. And he will make the sandwich that the dice tell him to make and then review it. It's very fun.
Could be fun. Could be catastrophic.
Could be both. Yep. So if you haven't guessed by now or from the title of the episode, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons this week. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This is, I guess, what is it? The second attempt at a movie. I think
Yes.
the first one was in
Technically, you could say the
2000,
fourth, but yes, the second real attempt.
I don't know much about the film adaptations of it, but this is the latest attempt at bringing Dungeons and Dragons to the big screen. D&D has long been a popular role-playing game that kind of kicked off cult status in the 80s and has kind of had a resurgence lately with things like Stranger Things and now this movie.
Yeah, and Critical Role and all those things.
The community episodes that had D&D themes, I think, also brought it into people's attention. So D&D is on a lot of people's minds. I started playing it when the pandemic hit with some out-of-state friends. We played it on Zoom, so that's kind of my history with it. I'm not an expert by any means, so I won't claim to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I will attempt to play the role of the D&D player in this review.
You are the dungeon master.
I've never been a dungeon master, so anyone who's listening who has been could probably run circles around me and will think I'm stupid for even acting like I've played. But so let me be very clear. I don't really know that much. But with that said, do either of you have any history with D&D at all, I guess?
No real history for me. I think I've told you before, Josh, that I don't play D&D, and I'm honestly afraid of the person I would become if I played D&D, knowing myself, because I feel like I would get way too into it and probably either be a lot of fun to play with or no fun to play with. I don't know. But I would get lost in it. I know I would, because it's all of my favorite types of things. So, but I've never played, never been invited. I would play if I were invited, I think. I'm curious. I'm a little D-curious.
D&D curious.
But I have nothing against it. So there's that. I'm very open. The only thing I really have ever done is that my brother likes playing it, and he showed me this app or site or something like that it's called like Hero Forge or something, where you can build your own little model heroes and then you can have them 3D printed, I guess, into figures or something. Mm-hmm. And so I got that just to mess with him and make really grotesque monsters.
That's fun.
And so that I think I uninstalled the app not long ago, but yeah, that's the closest I've done, is just making bug people and sending them to them.
Okay. What about you, Garrett?
No, I'm similar to David. I'm also a little afraid of it. I feel like I'll either really like it or I won't like it at all. It'll go one of two ways. And I'm afraid that if I really like it, then it's going to be a thing. Because I really like strategy board games.
Well,
like a lot of the board games that I get, people don't like because they're a little too direction heavy. I'll put it in a friendly way.
Yes, and there's a lot of reading involved.
Yes, there's oftentimes a lot of reading and a lot of confusion that happens during the direction process, including me, who's usually the one reading the direction. So I feel like this role-playing strategic kind of a game is right up my alley too. So I'm too afraid of it because I feel like it takes too much time. I played for a really long time with some of our Discord members a board game. We would go out to a local game shop here in Tulsa and play some board games, and there was a group that was sit at the table behind us, and they were big D&D players. I mean, they were there consistently. They had a book of stuff of however long like an actual book they'd been writing. So they were very serious. And it was very impressive, the dedication that they had to what they were doing. So I know that people who are really into it are either really involved or very casual. I would like to fall in the more casual camp where I to do it. I think that is the more fun way to just kind of mess around and do it. Kind of like an RPG video game where you just roam around and do random quests for fun. That's what I want my D&D experience to be.
Yeah, I find it also to be more enjoyable when you kind of allow for imagination to really run free, even within the confines of the world. Because it's still fairly easy to allow players to make their own choices, even if they're kind of crazy, and still adhere to the rules of the world that are laid out in the books. But that, that's the kind of thing that requires a good dungeon master, which is, the leader of sorts of the game or the group. They typically take on the role of a narrator slash every NPC, to put it in video game terms. Okay. What I'm hearing is I think we need to do a So Many Sequels D&D campaign on like Twitch or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That would be enjoyable.
We should do all
Right?
the games that we play or that
Right?
we review this month.
We can
Some
have
point.
you guys break in your first time playing D&D
Mhm.
on a live stream.
That sounds like a
I
plan.
think we
I'd
should
do
look
that.
into this.
I'd do that.
I think it could be
Make a
fun.
note.
Because you're right. You're both right. I think that you would both get sucked into it based on what I know about you guys. David for sure would get heavy into like building out his character, and like I can see you writing a whole backstory to him.
Yeah. Here's my backstory
yeah,
that doesn't
and
get used.
Garrett, I think you would get super into the rules of the magic and creatures and shit like that. So it's a lot. It can be a lot, but it's really cool. So I don't know anything about the 2000 movie other than people didn't like it.
Got Jeremy Irons.
Marlon Wayans is in it.
That's surprising.
You could tell what caught both mine and Garrett's eyes. Very different actors stood out to us because I said Jeremy Irons, and he went Marlon Wayans, and I went, oh man,
Marlon Wayans.
We both got geeked about different things.
For me, that makes more sense than Jeremy Irons being in it.
Right, Jeremy Irons sounds like he probably would. That fits.
This movie does not have Jeremy Irons or Marlon Wayans, but it does star Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Regé-Jean Page, Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, and Hugh Grant and Chloe Coleman, which is a pretty great cast. There's also a cameo that I don't want to talk about yet. We'll save that for the end of the show. There'll be spoilers.
Spoilers soon.
We'll definitely talk spoilers in this episode. Great cast. I was really excited about it when I saw the cast, especially when you got Chris Pine leading it, who I think is low-key the most underrated Chris. I think at times he's the top one, but people don't want to talk about it.
That's fair.
I'm just saying, he's a great Chris, very unproblematic,
very
entertaining,
underrated
so
Chris.
far.
And I think that's just because we can get into it later, but he himself, it's not his fault. He just kind of got on the Star Trek train and he hadn't really done anything else that has really stood out since.
That's true.
Until
That's fair. So Michelle Rodriguez, Chris Pine, Regé-Jean Page, and Justice Smith kind of play the group that would be playing in the campaign if you were to like assign it to the real world version of the game, with Chris Pine kind of acting as the leader there. And just to give a quick little idea of what the story is, Chris Pine's character, along with Michelle Rodriguez, were imprisoned after being caught thieving. He was separated from his daughter for all that time, and his goal is to ultimately get her back, which is a pretty, I think, standard concept for a D&D campaign too. So that was nice. What did you guys think of the story overall?
I thought it was really smart to frame it the way they did, because it has that sort of, I think the directors even said this, it has that kind of heist movie feel where, you have a very clear goal, you know what you got to do, right? And then you work on building the team. And by building the team, you introduce the characters, which allows you to cut through a lot of like heavy exposition, because you can just show, like basically a small highlight reel of what they do and be like, this is the guy we want, right? And I thought that even though the one, like, I don't know if you would really call this a twist, but the pretty early reveal is that Hugh Grant is not who he says he is, right? It didn't necessarily come across as, I don't know if that was supposed to be like, oh wow, shocking. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, I kind of expected that. But anyway, I thought that it had a good flow. I thought that all the characters stood out in their own way, and I was really satisfied with the ending. So the story, I thought really good. If it fits a D&D campaign pretty well, then I'm happy to hear that. As a non-player, I found it really easy to follow. I never really thought at any moment, wow, I wish I understood what they're talking about. You could pick up through context clues a lot of what they were talking about. Like you didn't need to know what Neverwinter is, or I may have got the name wrong there, or what, you know what I mean? These places, the games, whatever they are.
Right. What about you, Garrett? What did you think of the story?
Yeah, I really enjoyed everything from start to finish as well. It gave me very, when they were building in the team, and once you got to get to know them and kind of feel them, it gave me very Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. It kind of seems like a little bit of a hodgepodge of people. They do a good job of connecting them and making them not feel as thrown together as they could. But they are still just different because of their characters, literally, what they can do, their abilities, all of that stuff. And really their chemistry felt very Guardians-esque. All of them were really good. And I wanted to call out Chloe Coleman, because she was also in 65, which you can go back and listen to. But the overall review of that movie is bad.
I can't believe I didn't notice that was her.
I think she had space cancer.
Well, yeah, she had space cancer. She was in the flashbacks. You know, this movie does a good job of telling you some backstory and making you feel some connection and emotion for that. Like it served a purpose. It felt like it added to the character. And you, again, go back to 65, and Chloe Coleman is in those flashbacks. And I gotta be real. I'm sorry. I know she hasn't been in a ton of stuff, but she's bad. And it was just because the movie was bad. But in this, she's really good, and she does a good job of giving that. And that's the contrast there. And so that's not her, it's the movie at that point in time. So it was really interesting to see her in this, because at first I was like, oh no, but she was really good. And
I didn't even recognize her. So that's,
she fit in so well with everyone, and they all had their moments to shine. Chris Pine, wonderful, charming. He is the actual Prince Charming. I mean, he is Prince Charming to Chris as Chris is to Thor.
Yeah, he's great in that role in Into the Woods, the film adaptation.
Yes. Yeah.
But even in this, he may not be acting as a Prince Charming, but he looks like a Prince Charming.
He's got
all the look. He's got the look.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michelle Rodriguez was great. I mean, truly, every single person was built well, and their character was played out, and really just they all hit a home run for their characters.
Not a wink, link.
No, did anyone have a favorite character?
I'm gonna say Regé-Jean Page as Zank. Actually, I think he tickled me, and I found, I don't know, he just his complete deadpan, but like the gravitas with which he said every line was just so funny to me. And also his interplay with the other characters, because some of the characters very much that sort of sardonic, like over it kind of character. Like Justice Smith is a little bit over it, right? That he's a part of this whole thing, right? And his dynamic, and then also Chris Pine's dynamic with him, where Chris Pine's like, I'm the leader, and then this Zank character is very much a much better leader than he probably would be, right? So it's I found that so I'm going to go with him for now, and I may change by the end of the review.
Okay, Garrett,
I like Justice Smith's because he is exactly how I would play that kind of a sorcerer character too. I mean, like just using it to just kind of get around. I wouldn't necessarily be robbing people, but I would be using my magic to my advantage in ways that are convenient for me. I do not want to rake the leaves, magic a rake, and they will go rake the leaves. Like that's the kind of sorcery that I want. I don't really want much more than that, even though there could probably be a little bit more, and he eventually finds that. But I just really thought he was quite hilarious and provided such good comic relief whenever he got a chance to shine.
Yeah, Justice Smith's Simon the Sorcerer was my favorite character as well. I also play as a wizard in my campaign, so a lot of his stuff was very relatable. I have played in that way a time where you just kind of use magic to just get through a room.
Yeah, you're just like, And the great thing about this movie is if they messed up or if things didn't make sense, you can always blame it on a bad roll.
Right, exactly. That was
my
favorite of the more obvious call outs or Easter eggs was I believe it was in Simon's not reveal, but like his first scene, really, where he drops all the rings, and one ring is the last one to
To
fall,
roll them all. Oh.
implying that he rolled a 1, and that's why he fails, and everyone attacks him after that. I got a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
There you go.
My B and C characters though that stood out for me were I got a good look at them. Sophia Lillis and Hugh Grant both were so good at their characters. I thought that they both delivered really well. You know, Hugh Grant is just so charming. He makes perfect sense in that role as a
Hilarious.
skeezy guy because he's likable, man. He's just likable.
One day I'll
and
stop
he's
being
also
surprised
a scumbag.
that he's so good.
I know. And then Sophia Lillis, I didn't know she was in this movie, and she really came out of nowhere. And I thought she added a very nice dynamic and a fun element to this team that I did not expect because I had not really seen that character in the trailers.
Yeah, I remembered her after the movie had started. I was like, oh, because specifically that scene where she goes, spoiler alert, through a portal and she like tilts in and like the camera does a weird tilt. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that scene in the movie, in the trailers now. Yeah, she's amazing. You know, we first saw her when we reviewed It and It Chapter 2 a few years back, and it's great to see her still getting some really fun roles. She is great here as well. She has a real, I don't know what the right word. She just she comes across like an old soul, and she has since. I mean, that was true in It as well, but she just seems like she's 30 years older than she is.
Yeah, she seems like she's been through some stuff and knows her way around the world.
Only 21 though.
Wow.
But she really commands a scene. Like, you know, she does a good job of making you pay attention whenever she has the screen. Everybody does, but I mean, again, I was really drawn to her performance watching the movie.
Yeah,
but, I'll agree as well, though. Hugh, hilarious. Chris Pine was really funny throughout this movie as well. And so was Michelle Rodriguez. Honestly, it was a very funny movie. And I really appreciate that they weren't afraid to use humor. I also compare it to Guardians in that sense, because by going heavy on like wit and a little bit of comedy, I think it helps the person who's coming in without much knowledge feel like they're a part of it too.
Right.
If it was really insular and serious and it was all like it was very lore heavy, I think it'd be a turnoff for people who don't know anything about it. But because you can get in on, oh, you know, these aren't the, you know, perfect super warriors. These are like kind of regular people that I can relate to, and they trip and they F up and they accidentally ask 5 questions when they didn't mean to.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And basically every real D&D campaign is a hodgepodge of different characters with different skill sets. You typically start out at really low levels, so you're all not very good. So it really made it also feel like, you know, not an expert level game. It made it helps show, I think, non-players the fun that it can be, versus I think one of the older stereotypes of it just kind of being a lot of reading and no real playing. That's not really how it is.
I think that the dangers this movie could have fallen into is like, you know, D&D, while it's still on a resurgence, which is like really popular now compared to what it normally has been, could have been like, you know, I bet that if you go, I don't know anything about the 2000s movie, but I bet if you go back and watch it, it's probably really campy, really dorky, really trying to make fun of the fantasy-ness of it. And I think this one embraces that fantasy element of it in a way that is really positive. And it doesn't get involved in the mechanics of the game. And I think that could have been a weight on it if they get too, like, you got to roll the dice. Like, there's, you know, they give it subtle for people who know. And if you don't know, then you don't get the joke, and that's fine. It's not a hindrance. It's kind of, in that sense, it made me think of Jumanji, the modern day Jumanjis, without the backstory of the games. You just kind of got into the fantasy elements, and you kind of understand the general, like, in D&D, it's a quest. But honestly, I think D&D is just a helping marketing point. I think you could have just called this movie Honor Among Thieves, and it would have been a really good fantasy movie by itself. And I think that's the key at its core, is that this is just a good fantasy movie, and it uses certain elements of D&D, but I think it could just stand alone without the D&D, and that also is good.
I agree. This is a good. I think that, you know, I've seen some of the I've seen some of the ratings coming out and the critics' reviews coming out, And I think if you're a fan of D&D, hopefully this you're going to love this, because it means you're going to get more, and they're having fun and they're taking it seriously at the same time, and they're trying to make a good film out of it. I think this, I would be surprised to find out that maybe people didn't like this, because it was a blast. This might be my favorite movie of the year so far.
I agree with
and
that.
I look forward to another one, and I'm intrigued by any idea they want to go with it. If they want to continue with these characters, if they wanted to do a new campaign with a different setting, because I mean, based on my understanding, there's a ton of different backgrounds and settings and things that you can, that D&D has created over the last 50 years or however long it's been going, 40 years, whatever.
This has the potential to be Avengers level crossover down the line.
I'll tell you what, I did look at the reviews for the 2000 movie, and one person called it the second worst movie of the year 2000. So it was not liked at all. People said it was super boring.
Man, I wonder what the number.
Oh, I can tell you what it was. Hang on. It was, I'll look it up. You guys keep going.
Okay. Yeah.
Josh, what were some of the Easter eggs? You talked about some of them, but like, what were some of the ones that you were able to pick up on as somebody that is more involved in the game than David or me?
Well, so a lot of it, I felt like I could just follow the story pretty well, just knowing the standard kind of setup of a D&D campaign. I felt like it really followed it. There's always weird side quests, like digging up the bodies of soldiers and asking them questions. That's definitely a thing that you would have to do to get to the next step of something. So all these fun little weird side quests they had to do, that felt like a direct call out to how the game works. And then just a lot of pieces of for example, that like jelly cube they got caught in, that's a real thing. That was kind of cool to see on screen.
The mimic box, I've heard of that.
A lot of the spells were spells that you can cast in the game that are like in the book. You can read about them. When Hugh Grant dropped Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine into the floor that turned into like quicksand, that's like a real magical, like a cursed item or something. So there's a lot of things like that I was like, okay, I've heard of some of these things.
I also saw, so if you pay attention, maybe we've already seen it, but if you pay attention during the games scene, you will see that they're up against two other teams. And one of those teams is made up of a group that looks exactly like the cast of the Dungeons and Dragons animated series from like a long, long time ago. They're wearing their costumes and stuff. So there's kind of like a Easter egg of one of the other major Dungeons and Dragons adaptations, which that's kind of cool. They're the ones that actually make it to the cage. So if you watch, you'll see them. So I found that movie, by the way. So Steve Biodrowski of Mania.com back in year 2000 said, if it weren't for the movie Lost Souls, this would be a strong contender for worst film of the year. I looked up Lost Souls. It's a Winona Ryder movie in which a small group of Roman Catholics believe Satan intends to make himself into a human. And then I have not read beyond that. But
that does sound really bad.
Lost Souls. And then in February of 2010, readers of Empire voted Dungeons and Dragons the 39th worst film of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. So I'm thinking a watch is we should check that out.
You know what? That could be fun. I think it has a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not good.
Oh God.
So it could be really fun.
Bonus.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But anyway, back to D&D.
Back to D&D.
The good one. Back to Honor Among Thieves.
No, David, I think I put it in our Discord. I was talking about, I think that they can set up a lot of very interesting setups, because I do think that, I'm very interested to see how another campaign with these characters, because they did a good job of building them. And so I think they were successful in that. And I agree that I think that you can build a nice little fun fantasy world of D&D campaigns with different characters. Josh, I don't know how many different types of characters there are in D&D that people can play, but I'm sure even you can have a similar character to one of these, just played differently from a different perspective. Or
you could have a wizard who's more of the lead character or something,
Right, exactly. Or more powerful, or I don't know. I'm sure that you can set up a dynamic where it works and you can set up something totally different but connected to this franchise. And I would go see that too, because this one did a really good job of laying some groundwork for potential more. And I'm very excited for what they can do.
It's hard to say at this point, but I do think that there's going to be an attachment to these characters by, more casual fans. I think that if you're a casual fan and say you walked in, see Dungeons and Dragons, part 2, and Chris Pine and all these other characters running it, you'd be like, what happened? Where'd the characters from the last one go? There'd be some confusion there, I think. So, they have options though. They can do a lot of different things, and there is going to be a TV series. It's already been picked up. I think that's going to be on.
I didn't know that.
Paramount Plus. I think there's going to be like a related, not necessarily these characters, but something like that. I let me look that up again.
Listen, I'm just going to say this because the more we talk about this, the more I'm intrigued. So if you are a dungeon master and are interested in doing a So Many Sequels campaign, you can follow us on our social media platforms and talk to us, and maybe you can talk to us. Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet, but I bet I could be talked into it. So
here it is. Yeah, that sounds like a blast. So spinoff television series has been picked up, ordered straight to series for Entertainment One and Paramount Pictures, and so it's going to, in theory, go straight to Paramount Plus with an 8-episode run.
Well, I hope they embrace the same kind of fun that the movie did. Because I think that's the right tone. I think this movie hit the right tone.
Yeah,
and I would like to see more stories with these characters. I think there's still more to see from them, with a ton of opportunity to introduce new ones along the way.
Do we want to talk about maybe some favorite parts of the movie? Want to get into spoilers a little bit here?
Yeah, let's do it. Go ahead.
So
what do you have?
I'll let one of you guys bring up the cameo that we're all wanting to talk about, but I also really love that big pudgy dragon. That was highlight.
Dragon was great. It really was.
It reminded me of a certain 2-year-old that I know. Because he was like, the way he was like sliding down the treasure, he wasn't running. He would just like let himself just slide down. That was quite funny to me. And that whole sequence was really great. Them trying to get away, them hithering and thithering and all that. And
that was a good one.
Zank saving Edgin. I didn't really learn these names very well, so I've got them pulled up so I'll remember. That was all, I love that whole sequence. The dungeon and dragon part was really good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the owl bear.
Oh man, that's what I was gonna let you bring up the cameo.
Oh man,
owl bear.
Yeah, I really like.
But equally, I love the owl bear. I loved the little. It was kind of like.
Why are you ever not an owl bear, Sophia?
Right, exactly. I liked the little. It was like a boss fight at the end, or wherever it was, with the owl bear fought, and it reminded me of like I don't know, the anime thing in Mortal Kombat where you can morph into an animal and fight as an animal. That's where mine went. Anamorphous or something. Yeah, whatever. Whatever they call it. In some form of Mortal Kombat, you can morph into an animal and fight as it, and that's what made me think of. But done well, not Mortal Kombat. Bad.
Oh wait, you're talking about there's a video game like Mortal Kombat, but you morph into animals?
No. In Mortal Kombat.
Oh, 2, in Mortal Kombat,
there's a part where they like turn into animals and fight, and that's part of it. It's part of some of the game.
I get you now.
So yeah, they did that, but well, with the owl bear.
Owl bear, great. What a fun concept.
Yeah, it was cool. And that cameo that we've been hinting at is a really, really fun scene with Bradley Cooper, who plays Marleman, a halfling, and Holga's ex-lover or something. I had to double take a few times to make sure that was Bradley Cooper, because it just didn't make sense to me that he would be in this.
Yeah, it was also like, I was like, because he was small, it was like, is it Bradley Cooper? Like, he looks thin. Like, this looks like a really thin Bradley Cooper for some reason.
Yeah.
But I think my entire audience did the exact same thing, where we all went, oh, he's kind of looks like Bradley Cooper. And then there was like a kind of a beat, and then everybody kind of goes, is that Bradley Cooper? It looks like, And then by the end of it, we're all just loving it, By the end, we're all just loving this fun moment. And he was funny. He was funny and good. And it was a really interesting appearance. So 10 out of 10.
Apparently his parts were filmed well after the fact. His cameo was kind of a late addition that they'd always hoped that they could get him, and then they did, and so they just like added him in. So he's not even really talking to Michelle Rodriguez.
No, it's all green screen.
Movie magic. Yeah, of course,
it's the magic of the movies. Somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
It does.
We're nearing the conversation that we need to have, by the way. We won't get there just yet, but we're nearing the conversation that we have to have.
Oh my.
I think you're the only one that knows what conversation that is.
How could you not know?
I don't know.
How could you not know? You're the one who told me.
I did?
You're the one. Garrett is. He's the one who forewarned me.
Oh.
Genuinely don't remember.
Oh.
You gotta be kidding
Remind me.
Guys, in the year of our Lord, April of 2023, these fools had the nerve to welcome me back to the movie theater again.
Oh.
And not only that, they called us heroes for doing it. Heroes for seeing a movie in a theater. You gotta be kidding me.
I will say I did cringe really hard at the hero talk.
You gotta be kidding me.
I did cringe really hard at that.
It was a lot. And Josh, you made a fair point in our Discord when Garrett first showed us that he warned me that it was going to happen. And so I already had my head in my hands as they came up on screen. So Josh said, the average person only sees 2 movies a year, really 2 or 3 movies a year. And you know what? That is totally fair. But I'm going to say this fervently right now. Okay. If Dungeons and Dragons is your first movie back in theaters, you're an a-hole. All right. I don't like you. We're not friends. This is the first time you've been back to the theaters since 2020. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, we're not friends.
That's the hottest take of all time right there in show history, I think. But I can't even fault you because you're right. If this movie is someone's first movie back, they probably would not be your friend. That's true.
Why this is the first time you're going back to the theaters?
Of all the things.
You missed Top Gun, you missed Avatar, you missed everything.
You missed so many things. And I tell you what, golly, it's like it heard me. It's like the universe heard me last week when I was so glad Keanu didn't welcome me back. And so they got Chris Pine and all these fools up there like, hey, you're the real heroes for coming and paying, $8 a person to sit here and watch this movie in a black.
It was too much. It was too many people. It was too many, like the verbiage is what got me. Like the way they welcomed me back was like silly. And I was like, come on.
Look, I'm not going to dog.
Give me a new Nicole Kidman sequel. I don't want any more Welcome Back movies. I want a new AMC's Nicole Kidman sequel.
I'm honestly surprised it's still going. They told us they were making a new one.
They promised all that time ago this year. I do wonder what will be the last movie to welcome us back? One day it will just stop, and I wonder who will be the last one.
I know, and we have even gone and seen it,
And will we have even seen it? That is true.
I just, even if they wanted to just do like a preview, like if they just come in and said, hey, you're about to watch Honor Among Thieves, and we really think you're going to love it, get some popcorn before it starts or something like that. That'd be fine.
I think,
but no.
A turning point for me is going to be if next year when Mission Impossible comes out, if Tom Cruise does it again, if it's gone on long enough for his second movie to since the pandemic to do it, then that will be a problem for me.
It's such an eye roll for me.
That's the jump the shark moment.
I know that I'm like the only person in the world who has, I think, seemingly has expressed this as an issue, but it was like a thing that I just went like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of that. And now it's just been exacerbated. Every 3 months, there's a new one who's like, welcome back to the theaters, seeing movies the way they're supposed to be seen. I could have seen 65 at home. That would have been fine. Anyway,
yeah, 65 was a stream.
65 Smile would have been fine at home. Anyway, that's my beef.
Let's talk about anything else, or we want to get into some box office?
We can do that.
I think we can get into some box office. Just overall, I think we're really pleased with the movie.
We're really pleased. Had a blast. Highly recommend it. We'll get our official reviews here in a minute. Or rankings, I should say.
What's the opening weekend numbers look like?
So, it's doing pretty well. It's opened. The early estimate right now is for the weekend of March 29th or 30th, whatever it was, is 38.5. And that number may fluctuate between now and tomorrow, and which is, not as high as, it's not like a mega huge number, but it's pretty good for essentially a new franchise. And it was good enough to knock John Wick 4 down to number 2 in its second week. John Wick 2 brought in 28.2 this weekend, which is still, that's still good. And the number 3 spot is His Only Son, brought in 5.5. Number 4 was Scream 6, and number 5, Creed 3. So it came in. It's got a lot of other movies that people could go see, made 38.5. Maybe by the end of the weekend, it might be 39. We'll see. But that's about it. I thought about looking up Dungeons and Dragons 2000 to compare, but I'm not sure what that would be. I imagine it did a lot worse.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Dungeons and Dragons 2000 made, there you go. Dungeons and Dragons worldwide full run made 33 million back in 2000. So this thing's already off to a great start in comparison to that other movie. Anyway, that's it. That's going to be good enough to put it towards the middle of the pack so far this year amongst other movies, and we'll see how it finishes. On to the Letterboxd game.
Yes. I got some reviews here from the Letterboxd community to share with everybody. We've got 3.5 stars. So this is what goes through Will Byers' head. You got to be a Stranger Things fan to get that one. But I like it. You got, this is a shots fired. This is a shots fired one. 3.5 stars. This is what Marvel thinks it is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's true. If you put the Marvel Studios logo on the front of this, people would go, yeah, this fits.
4 stars. I want at least 10 more D&D movies. This is a demand. And
that's a good review.
4 stars. This went so fucking hard for no reason. And finally, 4 stars. I bestow upon this film the greatest honor I have. Movie I will put on while doing things around the house.
There you go.
Great background movie.
That's
great background movie.
It's great when you've already seen the movie. Not great for a movie you haven't seen yet.
Well, no.
My wife would disagree with me about that. But,
did you ever go watch that Pale Blue Eye movie that you said was going to be good that I told you was bad?
I haven't got around to it. I never said it was going to be good. I just said I don't think you can judge it when you didn't actually watch it.
That's why I want you to go watch it and tell me I was right.
I will go. I plan to do it at some point. It's a 2020 movie. It's a 2022 movie. So I'm trying to focus on new movies. That said, I haven't watched anything other than what we've done for the podcast.
It's good to watch a throwback like a 2022 film every now and then.
It's true. I will eventually try to get around to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, based on those few little fun reviews, where are we thinking the Letterboxd community has landed on Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves in its first few days of opening?
3.8.
Ooh, 3.8.
That's a good guess.
That is a good guess.
I'm gonna say 3.6.
I'm gonna say 3.5, just in case it's lower. I don't think it's gonna be in 3.9 or higher. I'd be surprised.
As a tiebreaker, we'll do Dungeons 2000 maybe.
Fair enough. Okay. Moment of truth. Well, we will need that tiebreaker.
Oh, there you go.
It is a 3.7, right between your 6 and Garrett's 8.
There you go. 3.7. Hey, you know what? That's a good rating so far.
That is a good rating.
I support that.
Good rating.
I support that. So, Josh, I think that means the honors go to you on looking up the
yeah
Dungeons and Dragons 2000.
I can do that real quick. Dungeons and Dragons 2000.
We know nothing about it, but I know
I've got it here. Oh Jesus! I was going to read through some of the. Oh man. These. Okay, go ahead.
Can you not read any of them?
Oh, do you want me? I will.
Yeah, read a few.
Half star. Jeremy Irons was once asked why he did this film, and he responded with the fact that he had just bought a castle and needed to pay it off somehow. Half star. There is no God. I don't understand this one because I haven't seen it, but 1 star. This is a new review. This is literally Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Oh, interesting. Similar plot, I imagine.
1.5 stars. Jeremy Irons rolled for acting and got a natural 20. That's a compliment.
That's true. He's great.
I think that's good. That's it.
That's a lot of half stars.
Most of the other ones,
I know,
people wrote way too much.
And we already know it's a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
you do know that.
I have no idea. This might be the most challenging guess we've ever done, Garrett.
1.3. I think is low. I think it's super low.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm going to say I'm going to say 1.1. No, because I don't want to risk another tie. I'm going to say 1.0.
Okay, we got 1.0 and 1.3.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have a winner. We would not have needed a tiebreaker if you had picked your original guess, David. The winner is Garrett with 1.5 is the
score. There you go.
1.5. So I don't know if we do want to watch that after all.
It sounds like, honestly, it'd be a lot of fun if we were watching it together.
It could be.
Less so by ourselves in our lonely rooms.
I think Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans might be the only people in this movie I've heard of.
And I was reading through those reviews, and one of them said that Marlon Wayans' performance is borderlines on racist.
Oh no. That's unfortunate.
It is. So Garrett, that is his I think 3rd win of the year.
Climbing the train, man.
No, it's number 4. There you go. 4
didn't
wins.
Make sense. You don't climb a train.
Going further up the train.
I don't even know.
Climbing the social ladder.
Climbing the letterbox ladder.
Climbing something. All right. It's the moment of truth now. We got to give our final letterbox scores for D&D.
I'll give mine because I started off with the 3.5. It was really good. But this conversation made me realize that the time and the experience was all merrier, and I added another half star in there. So it's a 4-star movie for me.
Right. I agree. 4 stars, but as of right now, this is, I think, my favorite movie of the year.
Well, I also agree with that.
We are going to make this a very easy score then, because I'm also going to go with a 4. I don't know. A 4-star movie.
I don't know what would have pushed 5, honestly, but it's hard to say. But you know what? Maybe D&D.
I would have had to have cried. I would have had to have cried. I would have had to feel some other emotion other than oh my God, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Great crowd though. My crowd loved laughing and cheering. It was great.
I had a good crowd too. All right. Well, that is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. We've got a whole month of game night ahead. Speaking of I can't believe this didn't come up. The directors of this movie are the same directors of Game Night. Jason Bateman.
Rosie Perez.
I don't know, but Game Night is a great movie. That is also board game based.
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, not Rose. Very funny movie. I think it's on Netflix. But they were the directors of that, and were also some of the writers of Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh, there you go.
So I learned that today.
Very cool.
But we've got more game movies coming up. Like I said, we've got another, at least one more brand new one coming. If you check the calendar, you might have a guess as to what that is. And then we got some old favorites that we're going to talk about too this month. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube so you get all those episodes when they come out. And of course, you can go to somanysequels.com and find all our past episodes there, as well as links to our social media. And then finally, patreon.com/so many sequels. You can support us there and get access to our Discord where you can chat with us about movies and other fun stuff. So go check out all that stuff. We would appreciate it. And like and subscribe. We'll see you all next time.